Hey, what's up? It's Joe. Welcome to my 5 Minute Friday for May 10th. And I literally just got off the plane from Spain just a bit ago, so I'm a bit jet lagged, but figured I'd at least get an episode, the 5 Minute Friday, out today since it's Friday, and that's how that goes. So anyway, spent the week in Spain, specifically Malaga, Spain, for the J on the Beach conference. It's a European / Spanish software dev / data conference held in Malaga, which is a very beautiful beach town on the Mediterranean coast, and it's super fun. And what do I want to talk about that? First off, shout out to Luis and Rowena for all the hard work that went into the conference. It was awesome to see it come together, and lots of great talks from a variety of people, and it's cool meeting a lot of people. Anyway, let's get into it. So, things on my mind. Well, I was in a line yesterday, I think, waiting for some swag, and somebody asked me about the workshop that Matt Housley and I did on fundamentals of data engineering, and this person asked what programming languages our workshop was in, and I mentioned it was some part of it was in Python, and Python seems to be the triggering word with people. They either like it or they don't. And this person felt that Python was, I think, quote, easy to write, but also meant that it was very slow. And because it's easy to write, it was also prone to not lasting long as a program. And this person proceeded to give a counterexample of COBOL, which is, I guess, more difficult to write than Python, but it's more performant, and the code's been around for a long time. At which point, my brain sort of imploded on itself because I'm just a poor guy waiting for swag, and the arguments didn't make sense on the surface, and they don't make any sense in retrospect. So I'll just leave it at that. I don't think there's a scenario where, because code is easier to write, that it is either slower or the duration of its longevity is shorter. But I'd like to, maybe take this moment to talk about just something that I think pops up periodically. These are language wars, programming language wars, to be specific. So you see these all the time. I think it reminds me a lot of when I was growing up in rural Wyoming as a teenager, and people would have I think the thing back then were Chevy and Ford pickup trucks. People either like Chevy or Ford or vice versa, and but at the end of the day, it's these are sort of useless arguments. And I feel programming language discussions are very much like this. I can think back 10 years ago when Python was sort of on its way up. You can use things like the TIOB index for a while, which, well, it's not perfect. I think it's a good representation of the popularity of programming languages. And at the time, back 10 years ago, I think Java and some variants of C were the top languages. Fast forward to today, Python is number one. Java is actually going downhill. I wouldn't say it's going downhill, but it's declining relative to Python. And other languages like Go and Rust are starting to gain in popularity. So that's just how it is. Languages always trade places. But specifically, why is Python so popular all of a sudden? I don't think it's so popular all of a sudden as much as it just sort of a gradual thing. As an anecdote, I started a Python meetup back in 2013 with my friend Ferris. And at that time, it was a web development group. We were working on Django code, and that was, maybe some Flask stuff, and it was mainly focused on web-related stuff. And then, I was giving some early talks on machine learning and analytics, and, then this sort of coincided with the rise of deep learning and machine learning and data science, and Python sort of, I don't know if by accident or just good timing, became the language of data, right, alongside SQL. It wasn't always the case. There were other languages back in the day, like MATLAB. You can get the open source version, Octave, and so forth. But languages are interesting. I think that it's just these things that constantly evolve. I was actually having lunch with or dinner with Wes McKinney and lunch actually. But he created Pandas, right? And Pandas was got popular almost by accident, really. I don't think anyone could have predicted that it would have taken the world by storm the way it did back when he released it. But here we are, and I think projects like Pandas were one of the things that kind of made data science accessible to people, in the form of data frames and stuff that but that, just became very convenient and abstract for doing data science work. And as data science became very popular, just these things have a way of just blending together, and here we are. I'm sure there's a lot of other factors at play. So, but yeah, I mean, let's get back to the arguments here. Like Python, yeah, it's not fast, but what is fast? What does fast need to be, right? What is fast enough? And I think the only thing I said to this person was, okay, I mean, Python's maybe not the fastest language, but compared to what? Compared to what use case? Compared to what alternative? Of course, you could program in the fastest language and optimize for things. But, Python's good enough for most things. I think, I always quipped, and I think the old running joke is it's the second best language at everything. It's not perfect, but it gets the job done. I think it allows you to prototype quickly and figure out what works and iterate from there versus, if you write everything in COBOL, sure, it might be performant, might last a long time. At the same time, you might never get there. And I think the name of the game right now is delivering value for your end users. And that's about it. But that your end users, internally or externally or the end customer or whatever, that's really the name of the game. So the faster you can start delivering things to your end users, I think that's what matters. And so that's one of the reasons I think Python is popular. It's just quicker to write things in. It's an interpreted language, and interpreted, dynamically typed is just faster to write. Certainly there's some trade-offs with that versus statically typed and compiled languages, but it is what it is. So I think anytime I'm faced with an argument about languages, I have to always ask the question, as compared to what, right? And then what is the use case? What is good enough for the use case? Not what's good enough for the language. The language is simply a means to an end. And I've certainly known, a lot of, engineers at startups who got far with pretty mundane things like Ruby on Rails and Django, for example, and managed to still sell their companies for hundreds of millions of dollars or more. I think Instagram was built on Django, and that sold for $1 billion. And, I think they still maintain it as Django as far as last time I heard, as well as coming up with their own, forks of the Python code for their specific use case. But that just shows, if you got something that works, then you're going to figure it out, right? But I would say don't over optimize at the beginning of stuff and figuring out what language you're going to use. If you've had something you're really good at and you can build something that users like, I think that's really what it comes down to. So yeah, that's how I view language wars and just these topics of language X is better than language Y. I'm just kind of tired of these arguments, but they still persist to this day, even when I'm trying to get swag at a conference I'm speaking at. So it is what it is. Nerds are going to nerd out on just pretty, silly things and just bike shed every conceivable thing. So that's what we just tend to do best, I guess, as technicians. So anyway, that's my rant for today. A bit jet lagged right now, so I'm actually going to go hit the CrossFit gym in a bit to wake up. But yeah, what's going on? I'm actually going to be off to London later next week, and then I'll be there for the following week, and then back stateside for, I think, a while. And yeah, just got a lot of projects to knock out. Got articles, books, courses, all this stuff that's in queue and going to be chomping away at. So stay tuned for a lot of new content drops. And that's about it. But anyway, hope you have a good weekend and take care. Bye.